Welcome to some Tesla news. I'm here live at the Loveland Supercharger at the Embassy Suites, and it's slow. No, seriously though, it is kind of slow. It's only 50 kilowatts, now it's down to 40. My state of charge is at 212 miles. I came in on Wednesday through the area down to Denver with 5 miles range, and at one of the stalls it never went over 50, so I moved to another one and it went up to 100. So the station, I don't know, it's kind of funky. It's kind of hit or miss, and then I'd see it jump around a little bit up to 100, down to 50. I think there's something wrong with this station. I kind of wanted to go over some Tesla Model 3 news, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it because of the internet connection being so poor. So anyways, this is Loveland Supercharger. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 stalls. It's not super crowded at the moment. It's at the Embassy Suites. They have a really good breakfast buffet. You got to pay at the Starbucks. Although they don't check the ticket, you could probably just eat there, but that would be very nice. It's right off the interstate. And there's a place called the Summit down the road, which has got bowling, an arcade, laser tag, a bar. It's pretty nice. And then just down the way, it's not really walking distance, is Centera, which is kind of a shopping center, and it's pretty cool. It's got a Best Buy, movie theater, a bunch of closed places, P.F. Chang's, Barnes & Noble. I'm going to try something out since the connection's not very good. Let me know if this works. No dice. It looks like when you leave the YouTube app on the iPhone, it stops streaming. So much for that idea. Anyways, I see there's 5 people viewing. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them. And, how do I like Tesla wins? Yeah, so I got to show this thing off really quick. This is so freaking cool. So there's this TeslaWins.com, and you put it on your Tesla. Let me show you guys. And you have to get 2 APIs. And it'll track your location, and it'll give you all the information you need to know about where the wind's coming from. So like living in Wyoming, where we consistently have, like I had 40 mile an hour headwinds the other day, and I was driving 60 miles an hour, but it was saying it was like I was driving 100 miles an hour for the airspeed because of the wind. So like right now, it says that the tailwind is 2.7 miles, so it's like I'm driving a negative 2.7 miles per hour, which is kind of crazy. And it also gives you the elevation and the grade that you're going up. So the really cool thing about this is, like when I was on my way to Denver, I was using this, and part of the way, like I had the headwinds, but the other part of the way I had the tailwind. So I was on the interstate where I could go 80, and I had a 30 mile an hour tailwind. So I was able to actually drive at a pretty decent speed. I was able to drive around 80 and still have my airspeed around 40 or 50 most of the way. So it didn't use the energy. I was able to keep my energy consumption around 250 kilowatt, which was very helpful for the range that I needed to make it across from Riverton to Loveland here to charge. Ultimately, I did end up stopping and charging in an RV park for an hour. But even so, when I got here, I think I had 6 miles. It wasn't too bad. Normally, I'd have to stop in Laramie for a little bit longer, or stay longer in Rawlins. But the tailwind helped me out pretty good. But yeah, check it out. It's TeslaWins.com. It's a little tricky looking for the right spot to enter your username or to enable the API after you sign up for them. It kind of explains it on the website, but you basically have to go to the user account page to enable it. If I haven't mentioned, this is live, so you can ask questions and I can answer the best I can to my knowledge. But mainly I want to talk about Tesla 3 news. So there's a bunch of sightings of Tesla Model 3s being unloaded and driving around, and so there's all these release candidates. So they're kicking them off the line with the final tooling and making any final adjustments and tweaks. Apparently there was a bunch of them shipped over to somewhere on the East Coast. I can't remember now. I think it's Cincinnati. About 100 of them for crash test safety. And Tesla's, especially Elon, is anti-selling it. So they put up this page on Tesla Motors website comparing the Model 3 to the Model S. So, because there's a misconception that the Model 3 is the third Tesla car in technology, like the Model S was their first real car that they made. It wasn't really a retrofit, although technically the Roadster ended up being pretty much remade anyways. And then the Model X is, you could consider that their second car, or vice versa. Maybe you can consider the Roadster Model 1 and the Model S and X as 2. Depends, I don't know, it depends on how you look at it, but the way Elon says they look at it is they're already on the 4th generation of technologies, and so the S, the X with the hardware 2.0 for autopilot is the same as the Model 3. So the Model 3 is going to be they're all going to be in that same revision 4 of the hardware, even though it's called a Model 3. And the Model 3 is only a Model 3 because he wanted the initials to spell sexy, or when they're done with the Model S, Model 3, X, and Y. But Ford threatened to sue them over the use of Model E, so they changed it to a 3. And they wanted to do vertical lines, but it looks a lot like the Adidas logo, so they moved it back to a 3. A lot of issues apparently. I see I got some questions coming up here. So they're anti-selling the Model 3, and there's a lot of people that are probably waiting on buying a Model S because they want to see what the Model 3 is going to be like, and that's understandably so. And when they got rid of the supercharging program, there wasn't as much of an advantage to get a Model S. So they brought back the supercharging program, so now you can so everybody that bought a Model S and S up to was it about a week ago when I did my last episode, they now have free supercharging for life for the owner, not the car, which is kind of confusing. So if you buy another Model S or X in the future, it'll also have free unlimited supercharging. And from here on out, you don't unless you use a referral. So they changed the referral program. They only allow you to have 5 referrals, and they're only for your friends. Somebody was complaining on Twitter saying, these YouTubers, guilty as charged, are always pimping their codes, and I'm sick of it. And it's not really fair to the people that don't have YouTube channels with a lot of subscribers. Well, maybe I'm reading into that too much. But Elon said he put a stop to it. It's meant for only friends, and family, not to give out. Definitely not to pay for advertising, like AdWords and things like that. And people are starting to get emails now saying that they need to remove the link, or from being publicly promoted, I guess, or they're going to disable their code. So I went through last night and I removed my code, so I don't have it anymore. If you consider yourself a friend, or if I consider you a friend, feel free to hit me up at Pox at Two Smart Guys, and if I've got a code left, I can give it to you. I don't have any, or nobody's used them this round, so I've got 5. But yeah, you can call me up and talk about questions if you're seriously serious about buying an S or an X. Anyways, trying to figure out how to get my chat windows back here. What do you like about the Model X versus the S? And what do you miss, if anything, about the S now that you have an X? So, that's funny because I was just in Denver and I had my Model X worked on and needed the 12-volt battery replaced. And I had a P85D as a loaner. So I got a ride in one again, and I noticed right away the X is way more comfortable. Like, there's way more room. Like, there's tons more headspace. Like, it goes on forever. And you sit up high, and you can see over the front of the car. And it's just a more relaxed, nice ride. The Model S seems like it's squished, and that your knees are kind of up, and you kind of, lean back more. And I have to lower the seat to not hit my head on the roof. In the sunroof, there's a bigger shoulder between, or I guess not shoulder, but I don't know what it is, the support beam between the sunroof. So my head kind of hits this piece of the car. It took me a while to get used to it again. But after I got used to it again, it was like, it seemed like good old days. The Model S is still really nice. The automatic doors I'm really used to on my X. Like, I do the automatic or the invisible chauffeur thing, so I just walk up to it and get in. On the S, you have to open and close the doors. I know it's it's tough, but so that's kind of different. Obviously, the speed, that P90D, it wasn't ludicrous, but insane mode definitely was insane. Testing it out, this 90D is pretty fast. I mean, it gives you like a roller coaster feeling, but the insane mode makes you like tingly and numb. Like, I had to stop for a second because the first time I did it, I wasn't used to it, and then your body kind of gets used to it, and the novelty wears off pretty quick. I probably wouldn't spend $30,000 or $40,000 to upgrade from a standard 90 to a performance, or 100D or whatever, because it's fun, but I don't think it's worth the money. What else is the difference? I like the fact that the seats fold down in the S, and they don't in my Model X, but I've got that middle seat out. I've only got the 6-seater, so I can still fit very long objects, longer objects in this in the S. I never used roof racks. I love being able to tow. I have a 4-wheeler jet ski boat, and for my work we have work trailers, and I just got a kick out of towing people out of the snow in the wintertime with a little electric car. We were hauling stuff to the dump in a trailer, and they got a kick out of the fact that it was this big old trailer and this little old car to them. Because I live in the land of huge trucks and SUVs, so the X is ginormous compared to all other electric vehicles, but it's very small compared to the really big trucks around me, like nonstop. So what do I miss about the S? The look of it. I think it looks better. I don't know. My friends and stuff think it looks better on the outside. I think the X looks way better with, the Falcon Wing doors open. That just looks cool. But it's kind of inconspicuous, and it's kind of nice that it doesn't look like, a really fancy sports car when they're closed. It looks a little bit more like a normal car than the Model S does. And the weird thing is like my son and my family members don't even notice a difference really from the S's and X's. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between them, especially like in a crowd. We were at the Custer rally of Teslas last week, and my son kept trying to get in any red Tesla, regardless of it being an S or an X. So I don't know. The range, I had about 10 miles more range on my Model S, and I kind of wish I would have waited now that the supercharging thing changed over and got a Model S 100D, so I could have had that really long range that I need. But I don't know, I really like the utility of this X. So even then, I wish I would have waited a little bit more to get that extra 10 kilowatts, but kilowatt hours of battery. What else? The white seats, the white ventilated seats, I kind of wish I didn't get now. I got a dog, and I'm afraid that she's going to tear them, so we had to put covers on the back seats. So these are the covers. They're just from Amazon. They're kind of like temporary ones that hang over the seat, so the airbags still work. The ventilation doesn't really do anything. It's just noisy. You can't feel it. That's probably why they got rid of it. And it just makes them tear real easy, apparently, from what a lot of people have said. And I wear blue jeans, and they definitely do stain it. It does clean off pretty easy, though. It's just, you literally got to do it. I clean them off like once a week or so if you want to keep it looking white. But that's not specific. That could be the S or the X. What else did I like about the X? The S had, in the trunk, there's this pocket in the left-hand side where on the right-hand side there's a subwoofer, and it's huge. Like, it literally fit my nephew in it, and he was, like, at the time I think he was like 4 or 5. You can fit a lot of stuff in that little pocket, and it's not in the X. There isn't one there. I think they moved the charger into there because they moved everything around. What else? So, seating 7 people in my S because I had the jump seats. That's one less person I can fit in here because I still have little nephews. Although these seats are a lot more comfortable. I kind of wish I would have got the 5-seater just for utility, so they fold flat. All the seats fold flat, and I have more storage. Just that one extra seat, I'm not sure it was worth it. I also think the weight would be less on the 5-seater, so you'd have a little bit faster acceleration, a little bit more range. But that'd be an interesting test to find out on. All right. What do you find? How do you find out degradation on the battery? Oh, that is an excellent question, because basically there's the range. So if you do a lot of people say, what's your 90, like on the Tesla forums, and so they just compare. So when you have it set to your 90% range, I can't remember what this one's usually like, 223 or 230, somewhere between 220 and 230, and it kind of varies a little bit depending on how you drive. Oh, so it says my car's full now because I changed it. So like the full, when I got it brand new, it said my full charge would be 260. After driving it around in the winter and my average, it kind of changed a little bit. My average kilowatt hour usage, it's usually around 350 in ideal conditions. Ideal conditions is around 250. Right now I'm getting like 262 range, so I've actually gotten better range since I've bought it than when so my range now is better than when I bought it by 2 miles. My Model S, when I sold it after 60,000 miles, it at peak during the summer was reaching 270 miles of range, and when I sold it, it was like 264 in the winter. I don't think it lost any range at all. I think if I would have waited until the next summer, it probably still would have reached the 270. But that's kind of just how people judge it on how much it shows. The other cool thing that you can do is you can put it to your ideal setting. And then you'll get a much different reading. So it's saying ideally, if I drive my best, keeping it probably 200 kilowatt hour, then I'd be able to get 315 or 314 miles of range. So right now the stated charge is 22 kilowatt, and the superchargers are capable of doing, I think it's 150. The cars are only able to do 125. The most I've seen that I've gotten is 120. This supercharger, I've seen it hit 109, and most of the time I'm only getting around 50. So I don't know what the deal is with the supercharger. It's kind of funky. Where did you sell your Model S? Can you talk about the process? So I've been meaning to make a video on that because I've been asked it a lot. And another quick question. Did I get an email to take down the referral code? No, I didn't. But I haven't. I think people have been telling me they've been using my referral code since October. I haven't gotten a single referral since January. So I don't know if I really didn't get any referrals at all, or nobody used my code, or if they already blacklisted me. I don't know. If somebody wants to test it out, feel free. You can just email me, Pox at 2SmartGuys. I'll send you the code. Back to Matt. I lost my train of thought now. Sorry. There was a question on how I sold my Model S. So my Model S was $100,000 new, and they wanted to give me a trade of, I think it was $54,000 for it, and it was about 2 years old, a little less. So I looked into listing it on the Tesla Motors Club forums for what the Blue Book was, which was $68,000, and I was looking at CPOs, certified pre-owns, and they were going for like $75,000, $80 for the exact same model, a little bit lower miles though, and the longer warranty. So I put it on there. I put it on KSL.com over in Salt Lake because that was kind of the nearest, biggest community, and Piango, I think that's how you say it. I got a couple people interested on Piango. I'm totally saying that wrong, but ultimately no takers really. And then on KSL I got a bunch of inquiries, but they were mostly scammy. Like they wanted me to send the car to them and then they'd pay for it. And you could kind of, there's some tells on the way they were doing it, and it seemed like it was not legit. And they were offering to pay like $70,000 right away if I just shipped it out to them. Didn't seem legit. Ultimately, I sold to somebody on the Tesla Motor Club forum. We talked at length, and he ended up negotiating me down to, I think it was around $64,000. And I owed $68,000, so I had to cough up the money to pay off the car. And the way we did it is we had our banks talk to each other, because we were going to do an escrow, but the escrow was like $1,000. Shipping was about $1,000, and we worked it out to split things up and agree on a price shipped. And basically the bank held the title for the car until it received the payment, and once the payment was cleared with the bank, the car got delivered. And he wanted to make sure it was all good, so he had me take it to a Tesla service center and have them inspect it and write up a sheet. And they found two minor little issues, and they wrote up and let them know what they were. There was just like a little flap on the center console and something else, but they were still functional, just minor things. And I think it worked out pretty good. Overall, I ended up getting about $10,000 more than trading it in, although I had to pay taxes on it. So I still wound up, I don't know, like $6,000 to $8,000 ahead versus trading it. Yeah, so that's how I did that. Oh. Elon said he wanted to stop YouTubers from pushing referral codes, and they were just for friends. Well, I consider you guys my friends, all 11 of you. Watch me on a somewhat weekly basis, and we talk, and you're my friends. I think you guys should be able to get the code if you end up buying a car, unless you already have one. And in the middle of Wyoming with no superchargers around, it's a very hard sell to get my friends to buy Tesla. That's changing, but anyways, that's how that went down. Do you have any expectation on when the new battery cells for the Model 3 will hit the Model S and X? The specialist has no ETA. That is an excellent question. I think that all depends on a lot of factors. I think they have a current contract with Panasonic for the cells they're using currently. They'll use them till they're gone. So it depends on how many S's and X's they sell. Or maybe they'll reserve them for a certain size pack, like the 75s. And then they'll start packing the new cells in the 100s. Or something like that. It sounds like they got such a big back order on the Model 3s. All the new batteries are going to go into the Model 3s, and they're currently going into the Powerwalls. So, and they're actually manufacturing the battery packs for the Model 3 at the Gigafactory in Sparks, Nevada. And they're manufacturing the packs for the S and X at Fremont. So it's going to be a while. I think, at least a quarter or two. Probably the next big revision. Probably they've been doing revisions in like the October timeframe every year of the Model S and X. That's when they did, like Ludicrous, and then they did the Autopilot 2.0, and before that it was the Model D and the original Autopilot. So my guess would be in the fall, is they might start selling the packs. That would be the earliest, but you never know. It's definitely going to be at the change of a quarter. They always seem to shut down the factory for a week or so at the end of each quarter and implement whatever the new changes are. Just by history. That's historically how it's been done. How much range do you think the new cells will probably get for 100D? Well, that's the thing. The 100 kilowatt hours is still 100 kilowatt hours, but I think what you're talking about is the fact that they're going to have better energy density, so therefore there should be less cells, and therefore there should be less weight. So the question is what is the weight difference? I don't know. You might gain an extra 10, 20 miles. I don't know. That 20 miles might be pushing it. It might be negligible, like maybe like 5 or 10 miles. Like the difference of having an extra passenger in your car. I don't know. We'll have to see. It'd be really interesting. I know Elon said he was going to stop making batteries more than 100 kilowatt, but I think the X, because of the towing, because when you use towing, like I was towing a boat, it was literally double. It was 500 kilowatt hour usage. So I could see them using those cells and selling them for the X and doing 120 kilowatt. So if there's, if they're 40% more efficient, heck, I mean, in theory, if they made the pack a little bit thicker to accommodate for it, you could get, 140 kilowatt. But I don't know, maybe 120 kilowatt, and then you could see, close to that 400 mile range, and then towing would be 200, and that would be like, that's what they could put in the trucks, and it could be a top option on the Model X. Feel better about getting the X. I purchased and received my S 2 weeks before Autopilot 2.0. Oh, ouch. I'm sorry. But I'm not, because your Autopilot's way better, and you've got to drive Autopilot for, it's going to be like a year before the Autopilot 2 even gets to the point where 1 is. I was driving an Autopilot 1 car yesterday, and it's still a lot more solid. I mean, the improvements on the Autopilot 2.0 hardware have gotten a lot better, and I'd say it's at the point where Autopilot 1 was a year into Autopilot 1, right before the last big update. It's not bad, but it still tries to kill you frequently. And the nag is literally once once a mile, and you have to kind of really put some more torque on it. I noticed on the Autopilot 1 car, it seemed a little bit more sensitive to resting your hands on it, so you didn't have to like reassure that you're holding the wheel really tight, and it seemed more reliable. Like I could see how people could trust it when they shouldn't. It was less swervy. So I don't know, feel good about the fact that you have a working autopilot. But yeah, it kind of sucks missing out on the hardware 2.0. I'll give you whatever prize is if people want to use my code, assuming yours is blacklisted. Sure thing. Email me your code. If people email me back saying they can't use my code, I'll shoot them your code. Thank you. Most important thing is more electric cars out. I wanted to talk about that. So I went and I test drove a Chevy Bolt yesterday. I'm looking at getting one for my work, just because of the economics of it. We spend a fortune on gas. We spend, we have trucks and SUVs, and we spend about, $300 to $600 a month in gas. And then repairs, just maintenance, general maintenance is every few months there's some little thing that goes wrong and it's $1,000 bill to get it fixed. Part of that's due to the age, part of it's because of the complexity of the internal combustion engine and radiators and all that stuff. So my thought was some of the people don't necessarily need trucks. We could get them a Model X. Or, I wish. A Bolt. So I test drove one yesterday. And it's a very interesting little micro SUV. It's not a car. Although it's small like a car, it's raised up higher like a Model X. So it's like somewhere in, I took some pictures of it, and it's somewhere in between like a Model S and an X in height. So it's higher up than the Model S, and it's higher in the back, like the hatchbackiness of it. And it's like a big Power Wheels. Like, it's a big toy car. It's very thin, little, plasticky, light car, which is why it gets such good range. It gets 238 miles on a 60 kilowatt battery because it's tiny. Like, the seats are a little bit more narrow. There's less elbow room. The screen's actually really big on it for being like its infotainment screen, and it's got a bazillion buttons everywhere. Maybe you get used to it after you own it for a while, but it was weird. And it was the top end one that had the lane keep assist, where it ping pong. It's weird when it's on. It's always on. You don't have to engage it, so it just keeps you from going out of the lines. It kind of ping pongs back and forth between the lines if you let go of the wheel. It's not like autopilot, even though it is. I think it's the same Mobileye version that was in the original Autopilot 1. I don't know. It has its place. I posted it on Reddit, and people said the thing's ugly. They were like, it's like a teenager with braces and pimples, and the Model S, I had it right next to it. It looks like a full-grown, nice-looking adult. I'm like, yeah, that's probably a good way to describe it. It's kind of a geekier-looking little. It's got that short nose. They built it for utility, so they kind of tried to maximize everything that people wanted. Like, oh, we need more headroom, we need back space room, we need trunk space, and they put the under the hood everything accessible, so it's easier to work on, so it doesn't look as pretty as the S. And obviously they use the lightest weight materials to get the range. It makes a lot of sense from like a technical standpoint, but yeah, it doesn't look like their Corvette or something. It's it's an interesting car. It has a roof rack and it has a tow. I say tow hitch as an accessory hitch. It says it can't tow, but you can put bike racks and things. Maybe you can do a jet ski or something. But yeah, it's an interesting little ride. I really want to get one for somebody or some aspect of my life, just to encourage, usage. The Model 3 is going to be great, but it's still going to be a year or more out for our area, and you won't be able to do the all-wheel drive, and it's going to be rear-wheel drive, and we have really bad weather. And it's probably not going to be able to hold as much as the Bolt. But it looks so much better, And it'll have autopilot, and autopilot is so awesome. So I'm at odds to wait longer or get a, if I have a choice right now between getting another ICE car for my office or getting a Bolt, I'd rather get the Bolt. Actually, I'd rather get a used Model S. And so that's if we can get a used Model S for the same price as a Bolt, probably better off getting the S. It has more storage space. You can have a roof rack, and yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that, because I want to encourage more EV ownership and other brands, but yeah, they're making it hard. They hit all the boxes on the Bolt, except for the fact that it looks kind of funky. It's not as bad as the Leaf, but still, it's a little bit unique. What effect do you think the electric semi will have on the trucking industry, and how long do you think it will take the trucking industry to open up to it? That's a good question. I think it's going to have a huge effect. But I think it's going to be a ways out. I think they're going to show it off this year. Say that it'll be out in a year. And it'll be delayed a year. I'd say it's at least 2 years out. That's my guess. But I don't know. It's supposed to be using the hardware from the Model 3. And if they're making the Model 3, I don't know. Maybe it will only be a year out. But they definitely going to have to do something about the charging infrastructure, because long hauls like across Wyoming, they haven't even got regular superchargers out yet. And to supercharge a semi, or I don't know what solution they're thinking about for the semis. I know they have electric buses. They actually use a different battery technology that's designed to charge in like 5 minutes, but they don't hold the charge long. So it's great for long hauls that are repeated constantly. So a bus full of people that go back and forth every day. So they charge it up right before they go, and then they go. And then, the next day they charge it up right before they go, and then they go. It makes more sense. But, in a regular car, you might have it charge it up once a week and just use it all week. Apparently that particular battery chemistry is not designed for that. So it's also heavier. So it's made, it works for buses, and it'll probably work for semis. So that's my guess, is they'll have a different type of battery chemistry for the semis, and they'll have a different charging network for the semis. And they're going to have to partner up with like one of the big truck stops, Flying J, or somewhere, because you need the space to be able to park them and charge them. There's a lot of logistics. I'm sure they're working it out, but I think if they have the charging network in place and the price is right, I think people will switch very fast. And if they get the autopilot worked out, yeah, I think it's gonna put a lot of people out of work, which is kind of sad, but it's dangerous. Those semis, they're always flipping over because people are constantly thinking they can get through the wind in Wyoming, and a computer would be like, oh yeah, like this app I was just showing, hey, it's too windy to go there. Don't go anymore. Slow down. Pull over. Wait for it to pass. It would be a lot smarter in making decisions, not thinking like, oh, I have to make it to this by this deadline, or I have to make this run by a certain time, and they risk it, and then they end up flipped over or jackknifed on the side of the highway, or in worst case scenario, one fell over on one of our highway patrol officers' cars. Luckily, he was out of the car at the time, but it's very dangerous. And if it was computerized, it could be a lot safer. I don't know, that maybe truck drivers will become more like fleet managers in terms of monitoring them. I think the full autonomy, before we get to that point, I think there'll be monitored fleets, so people can manage a pool of vehicles and be attentive to them, smaller pools, something like that. Anyways, I think it's a big thing. I think it'll work out. It's just a matter of when. Thomas says, I'm interested in creating the infrastructure for charging similar to what you are doing, but for Arizona. What are your learning points, advice? Good luck. I don't know. It depends on the attitude over there. It's different. Like over here in Wyoming, a lot of people most of the taxes are paid by oil and gas revenue, so they kind of see electric cars as a threat. So you got to approach it from a perspective that people can relate to. Like we're big on tourism, so I try and pitch it at that angle. You want to put these electric cars in for the tourists because otherwise it won't come through Wyoming. And then they don't want to pay for electricity. They don't want to give it away, which is, I don't know, negligible. But when you're a small business, you don't make a lot of money. Adding an extra $100, $200 to your bill for charging people's cars is kind of a lot. So, that's how I was working with Liquid Sky Technologies and NIAX on putting together a system where we can do a credit card reader and then split it so it could cover their electrical costs. If you put in your own actual electrical service, then you're stuck paying that monthly minimum fee. And with the low usage here in Wyoming at this point, it wouldn't be economical for me to be paying for 100 chargers at $25 a month, regardless of people using it for the electrical service. Plus, the install of the electrical service is like $2,000. In addition to the $1 or $2,000 for putting in the actual electrical to the hardware, and then the hardware is like another $3,000. It's pricey. I don't know. I'm still trying to look for different incentives. There's some different grants and stuff I've applied for to help in certain areas, but I'm looking at going to Kickstarter or GoFundMe or something because basically it's friends and family now that have been pitching in. I created a corporation, so we have shares in the company, but our company is willing to go to Arizona if you don't want to deal with it. The other thing I had to get was insurance. I had to get a general liability insurance that I got to pay for to cover if anything happens. I'm doing all my contracts as leases, so I'm actually leasing spots for future development in each area so we could put in level 3 charging eventually. Yeah, you can email me at pox2smartguys and we can talk about it more if you want. Other car manufacturers take a different approach than what has been worked for other vehicles. For instance, BMW, why not make an electric vehicle that looks like a BMW? Stop with the spaceships. Yeah, exactly. Everybody thinks that it's got to be a futuristic looking car, and I don't know. With the Bolt, it was more like a Cruise. It wasn't too futuristic. Volt with a V. I think that approach worked pretty good. The Teslas, they're gradually going from looking like a traditional car to, getting rid of the legacy things like the iPhone did. When the first iPhone came out, all the icons were, was it a skeuomorphism where, things look like what you're used to. Like on a computer, the save icon's a floppy disk. Kids right now don't know what a floppy disk is. So, same thing with the front fascia, the S and the X. They made it look like it was a grill, the nose cone. Or similar. So people are used to that. They got rid of it. They don't need it. It's not needed on the electric car. So people thought it looked like on the Matrix when Neo doesn't have a mouth. They're like, it looks weird without it. But, a year later, people look at it and are like, that's a Tesla. That's cool looking. So I don't know. It's that fine line they got to walk between making it look futuristic and just making it look funky. I think Tesla's done a really good job. Why would you buy a gas car if your would you buy a gas car if your Tesla breaks? No. I'd buy a different electric car. That's why we gotta encourage other companies. Competition is good. If Tesla's like the only game in town and they don't have enough service centers or reliability or whatever, there's got to be other companies step up their game. I'm a big fan of like Lucid Motors. They got a good product coming out. Hopefully it'll be awesome. I mean, I love electric car. The idea of electric cars. Tesla right now is the best, and I hope they continue to be the best and get even better. But if not, maybe Lucid might step it up, or heck, even GM. They're actually giving it a go. Ford is so far behind on what they've got for lack thereof electric cars. Nissan's giving it a good shot. Got to commend them for that. They sold a lot of electric cars. There's a lot of Leafs on the road. they've got a different approach for like cooling the batteries and stuff that doesn't work everywhere, but they're getting there. They're gonna have their long range one out this fall. It'll be interesting to see. It's funny, the preview they came. One of the biggest complaints was the funky headlights on the bug-eyed headlights on the Leaf. So the image they put out, the teaser image, is a new headlight that doesn't look like that. So that's interesting. They're getting away too. Apparently, they're going to try and make it look more like a normal car. Wow, thank you guys for staying with me this past like 45 minutes. Hacker reporter. Well, it looks I'm charged to 333 miles of ideal range. And I'm going to go and change it back to my rated range, because that's not ideal. Ideal's not ideal for me. I don't know how much range I really have. So I'm at 260 miles range right now. I've added 54 miles of range since I moved charging stations, and I'm charging at 4 kilowatt hours. My other idea for my charging network to kind of help fund it is to do Patreon. I know a lot of YouTubers have done that. The ad revenues from these YouTube videos is like minuscule. It's almost nothing, and they cut it into a third, so it's really nothing now. And I don't do the videos for the money. I do the videos because I live in a remote area where I don't get to talk Tesla with a lot of people, and I enjoy talking with you guys. Thank you so much for chatting with me when I'm on my little Tesla trips and I'm bored charging, and it gives me somebody to talk Tesla with. Please subscribe. That lets me know that you guys are watching, and then you can hit the little bell icon and it'll notify you when I go live or I have a new video out. And also, all comments are welcome on what you'd like to see on this channel. I've been promising for months a review on the Model X. I really intend to do it soon. I just wanted to get a lot of different footage of different things that you can do with the X that you couldn't do with the S, in terms of like towing and going off-road and things like that. And I'm just kind of building up footage of those scenarios and having like a real good lengthy review. Sorry the connection is so bad. I will see you guys next time. Bye.